like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel. Hi, this is Bryce for Metal Express Radio, and today my guest is the legend, Mr. Steve Lips Kudlow from the band Anvil. They've got a brand new album out on AFM Records called One and Only, and today Lips is here to talk to me all about it. Your press release said that you guys have stepped away from some of your...
I know, but I mean, it's like, it's such a broad statement. And I know it's in the release, but
yeah, that's all I got to go by.
It's driving me crazy the whole fucking day, to tell you the truth. It's like, well, what does it mean? Well, it means much more to whoever that pertains to, like the listeners from that era.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to care the most, because a lot of the people that listen to Anvil today might not have even been born yet.
Right. And that's
when that was, you know what I mean? Like
right.
My son wasn't born yet. So yeah, like, what era was that? It was the era of alternative music.
Right. I'm just basically asking, and I know you've heard these all day, because I've got you at the end of your day. And so I understand.
It was during that era, and during that era, what we did is we incorporated, instead of trying to lead the pack, we started following the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Started applying all the stuff that everybody had been listening to us for. We're applying whatever their interpretation of us. So
okay,
quite bizarre and removed, and we're doing stuff like blast beats and stuff like that, and it's like, what the hell is that?
Right.
And although, okay, I get what it is, but it's like, is that really musical? Like, we ventured into it, and we just it questioned its musicality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure.
And it's like, I don't know, man. It's doing something for the sake of it, not because it's musically correct.
Right.
And a lot of the metal music that we were doing and in that era was very much like that. It doesn't matter what you're doing, because you're never going to get really too popular, because metal is not even getting signed, and there's fuck all people listening to it now.
Right.
So it was a lot of self-indulgence,
mm-hmm.
and let's experiment. So there's a lot of experimentation in a certain sense. Okay, let's try blast beats, because we were going, listen to this band, and you're putting it on, and of course you can't read you can't tell about what band they are or what or anything, because the logo, you can't read the logo, so you can't tell what band it was. And the guy singing, you can't say, well, it was this singer. It's just like a faceless thing, right?
Yeah.
You're just listening to the whole overall thing, and you're hearing this, and it's like, what is that? They're going, oh, those are blast beats. It's like, what the fuck? Okay, so we experimented. Let's put that in the music, and it's going to have a very limited audience. You're doing stuff right. It's like whatever. Second lead guitar players, and you're getting really thick and full with all that shit too, right?
Right.
Lots of solos and fucking whatever, this, that, the other. That's another thing that was going on with us during the 90s. Mm-hmm. That and did it get recognized? Did it make any difference for the popularity of the band? Not that I could see.
Yeah.
You know, none of the stuff that we did made a lot of difference. We kept our fan base, and I think our fans, some of them like it, some of them don't like it as much. Generally it stayed the same. It made literal no difference. So
Right.
what eventually happened was, when we went to record This Is 13, we discovered that the second guitarist wasn't really, he was there, but he wasn't present.
Wasn't really necessary to the formula of what Anvil was.
No, it became unnecessary and redundant, in fact, and it was even impossible. Like CT, like Chris Tangarides is trying to get solos out of the guy, and the guy is so uninspired to play. It's just like, it was like yanking teeth to get him to play 2 friggin' solos on the whole fucking album, and it's like, oh my God. It's just ridiculous, and it became apparent mostly to Rob than it was even to me that we got to drop this excess weight. It's waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's like it's not productive. He's not. It's And do we want to get another guy? Not really.
Right. Well, yeah.
All the stuff in the studio, nothing's changing. I'm still ending up doing everything anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you need a second guitar. I'm using the other guy's guitar and rig, and I'm playing his parts. Like, I can use the guy's studio's rig and have the same result. I don't need to hire somebody and pay them for being there, and I'm using their equipment. That's right. A pretty hefty price to rent some gear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear that. So I was going to say, I feel like the new album is, just more of a return to back to where you guys started. So
that's exactly it. And what eventually happened, which was, we ended up getting the right guy when we got Chris Robertson. We ended up getting the right guy. After all these years, we got that other member that makes it a full, real band. Although we had 2 guys playing, and it still wasn't. It isn't what it is today, and what it needed to be.
Right.
I ended up, even though we had second guitar players, I ended up, like I said, I'm doing almost all the guitar playing on all the albums anyway. So It's like, fuck, man. And then I'm having to guide the guy through his solos. I might as well do the solo myself. I'm having him do what I'm asking. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, fuck, I might as well play it myself. This is, it was so stupid at the end, ridiculous. Like, the only way to go was, after Sebastian Marino, was we should have gone to 3-piece, which was advised to me by a lot of people. A lot of people said that, what was the point? What's the point? It's like, but having said that, it's getting the right bass player.
Yeah.
That's a trick too, because you need a bass player that has a tonal aspect of it, that it is taking up the actual rhythm section of a guitar that's not there. You need an audible, real 3-piece bass player. You need a Jack Bruce. You need a Geezer Butler. You need you need a John Paul Jones. You need a real John Entwistle.
Exactly.
You're going to go you have a 3-piece band. You need a real bass player. That's what you need, right?
A Geddy Lee, any of those guys. Yeah.
A Geddy Lee. Yes, exactly. Well, that's what we found. At the end of the day, we found a bass player that was actually a Rush fanatic.
Oh, awesome. Speaking of Geddy, right?
Yeah, and I mean, just as a matter of fact,
Hmm.
okay, and to the point where they the kind of Chris played in a band that was an underground prog, underground prog, and they were Rush was fans of Chris's music. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. People from certain genres are all pals and stuff, and they listen to each other. And there's nothing new or revolutionary about that. I mean, we
Right.
can talk about Ronnie Dio. He knew everybody's music inside out. There's lots of guys like that. But yeah, I mean, like it's where things end up, and how they end up. It's quite phenomenal, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you've got the right guys at this point,
Yeah, it's just getting the right guy. Now, what is entailed? Now we had initially the original Anvil, which people consider the most successful Anvil, was we had a rhythm guitar player, but a rhythm guitar player that sang
Yeah.
and had there was a certain connection between the two voices. They worked. My voice and his voice worked really, really well together, and it
Right.
had a sound that that only that you can make having that kind of singer. Well, we didn't have that for years. The bass player that we had in Anvil was our singer, but he did not sing like Dave. He did
Right.
not sing like Dave Allison at all. In fact, not conducive really with my voice. He had a very deep, and you needed somebody with a soft tone
Hmm.
to uh, to augment the gravel in my voice, so
Right.
that
To blend.
the blend. But when you got two gruff voices, it's too gruff. It's not right. It wasn't
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. 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 There's a reason there's like cake and frosting. There's things you don't need. Everything doesn't, you know what I mean? That meshes well isn't the same.
Yeah, but and the not having it in the band made me write things in a way that there's no backup vocals.
Right.
So now all the stuff from the original Anvil is gone. You listen to the first album, there's Oz, there's all kinds of fucking vocals going on everywhere. Like, that's what we did. Vocals were really important. And
Hmm.
as, well, after going through the 90s and ending up with the way that things were, I never replaced the second voice. Never replaced the second voice. We finally It's interesting because we get a bass player. We get in a situation where the bass player that we had uh, decides he's had enough and he's going to quit. And we get a bass player from New York, and he was here for an album, and you know just over a year, I guess. I think he
Yeah.
spent. Anyway, wasn't the right guy. He couldn't sing. Not the right guy, and his his musical approach was he was a Steve Harris style bass player, and we needed a Geddy Lee.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's what the problem was. We got a Steve Harris and we needed a Geddy Lee, and so that didn't work. But in the meantime, we brought Chris with us because I knew already that we got the replacement. We just didn't. I didn't want to fire Sal.
Right.
I didn't want to fire Sal, at least not at that moment. There'll be a time and place for it to take place, but it's not right at this fucking moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Finish the album, we got to go fucking tour, right? At least get finished part of the tour or half the tour or what. have a break where we can get, if we're going to change, we can change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, regroup. Literally.
So of course, by the time that Chris joined, and actually joined, he already knew all the songs because we needed a bass player to practice with when we were in Canada. So Chris was coming in every day to a rehearsal, and I told him that you got a future. Don't worry about it. No, you're not playing gigs yet, but you're coming to rehearsal every fucking day. And that's
right.
It was like that kind of thing. So we had two bass players. Now, when it came time to go out on the road, I didn't have the heart to go, okay, see you later, Chris. We're fucking off and you can't come. No, I said, you know what? Why don't you just come with?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, you're going to get paid almost as much as a musician does anyway. You're going to fucking be the crew. Fucking, you can carry a fucking couple of cabinets into the fucking place every day and help set up. What the hell? And he goes, yeah, I'm in. So that's what ended up happening. So what was going on, which is a phenomenon, is my dear friend, my dear friend Bob, who was doing helping us out as well as a roadie, was standing side stage with Chris, and as we're playing, Chris is doing all the backup vocals, standing beside Bob, and so Bob is hearing Anvil with its backup vocals for the first time in years.
Nice.
Meanwhile, it's not going on stage, right? It's going on stage, and he's going. And so Bob's going, dude, can you give us a mic? Like, just give him a mic. At least let him sing from back here. So it's like, okay, well, I got to see this when it really happens, and because up until I heard that, I didn't realize. Because when we were rehearsing the stuff, Chris wasn't singing because either was Sal. You know what I mean? Virtually.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I never got tested.
Right.
Anyway, it turned out so amazing because he's got just the right kind of timbre. They're just the right kind of vocal tone that works perfect for live. Absolutely perfect, man. Fuck.
Awesome.
And it's in tune and and consistent. These are things I never had before, dude. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but as great as Dave was, singing was a crapshoot.
Yeah.
When he sang and he sang in tune, it was all good. But when he sang and it wasn't in tune, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, you don't want that. I mean,
yeah, it's worse than having nothing. That's worse than having nothing. Out of tune singing is worse than having nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shut up.
That's why you had nothing, right?
Yeah, and that's why I slowly removed all the backing vocals because we didn't really have it.
Yeah, if it wasn't working, you don't need it up there screwing with the sound and everything.
So that brings us to where we are now, which is the most similar it's been to the original format, except that there's no rhythm, actual living rhythm guitar. I do all of that, which I did anyway in the early days, particularly and mostly all the fast songs. I did all the guitars.
Right.
Only slower songs where you could syncopate and do some stuff where you work off each other. We use the two guitars, but you know, Dave would put in only what is necessary for him to put in. After it's just the way it worked.
Yeah. Well, it works that way for a lot of bands. I mean, James Hetfield plays all the rhythms on every guitar, every Metallica album. Kurt doesn't play any rhythms; he only plays solos. So, I mean, so that's kind of just when you're trying to match up the rhythms, nobody can play that second rhythm as tight as the guy that's playing the first one.
One wrist.
Right?
One wrist.
And it replicates exactly.
That's it.
Right?
That's exactly true. So when people are going, hey man, you had two guitar players, I can hear it in your recording. You go, you guys are so full of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, no, we found that out in my band back in the 80s. We went in and we had two guitar players, and we started trying to have the second guitar player play all the rhythms. And after like a wasted day and a half, we go, no, drop all that.
Try to play a bed track live off the floor with two guitar players. See how untight you play.
Yeah.
It's brutal, man.
Yep. So the second guy played solos. Yeah. His solos, right?
Yeah.
On the recording. But hey, I was going to say the video for Feed Your Fantasy looks like it was a blast to make.
They put an advertisement. We put an advertisement on Facebook for anybody living in Germany.
Awesome.
Come out and hang out and be in the video. And people came from all over the country. It was great. And a lot of them are people that we knew. It was great. Like, what are you doing here? Yeah, you invited us. Okay, you drove all the way here? Yeah, 4 hours and shit like that, man. It's really a lot of fun to do. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it seems like it. I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you've been asked before, and forgive me for some of these, but when you're writing like the new record, what is your songwriting process?
I do a lot of pre like I write here in this room, right? This is my writing room, and I'll sit and I'll create all kinds of riffs and load them into the computer. I record everything I'm playing, and it gets logged. And then some 6-7 months later, I go back and I start listening to the dozens and dozens of riffs, and in some cases whole complete songs, because what happens is I put myself under the gun. This is great, and it's a great way of writing, of really spontaneously fucking kicking ass. Okay, and it's just it's one of my methods. I come up with a riff that, okay, I love this riff, and I play it to death a million fucking times, and then I go, okay, time to record it. I hit record, and I make up a song using that riff right there, and then under the gun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And whatever I come up with. If there's mistakes, who gives a shit? It's I'm creating and have fun, man. Smoke a big joint, fucking, and go kill it.
Yeah, it's like a sketch pad.
And sometimes, if not at least half the time, you get through a bed track. 98% of it ends up being the basic skeleton of the song. In one shot, in 2 minutes, you've got a fucking song from nothing to it's done. Yeah.
Awesome.
And the beautiful part about those are like metal on metal. Songs that are like metal on metal. You're never going to forget hearing it. That's the mother. Those are the mothers. The mother load when you get one of those, and it's 50-50. Sometimes you have to work your way through it, and sometimes you don't, and it's just the way it is. That was a good part, but it got lost there, so I got to actually come up with a better part there,
right?
Write the solo, but in some cases I'll jam the entire thing and make up a whole solo riff, a whole the bridges that going in and out. The whole fucking thing gets completely captured in one shot. And I've done it. And it's like, wow. And later you're going, I don't know where it came from or how, but it's there. Okay, next. and
Awesome.
and that's the crux of the musical aspect. And I find that is worked a lot better for me when I'm doing all this on my own. And that's what is the biggest difference to the way I used to do it. I'd come in with bits and pieces, or I'd pick up my guitar, plug it in, and then I'd come up with something right at that moment, and we'd create a song. That's the old way we used to do it.
Right.
Which is, it's not collective like this.
Right.
In a collective state, then you've got options.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that's a big difference. When you've got options, man, you got all different kinds of riffs and songs here. Fuck, pick and choose, cherry pick. Now, Robbo, give me some titles. And Robbo gives me fucking titles, the craziest titles you've ever heard. And some of them just it's great because you never know what you could use.
Right.
And it's like a puzzle piece, right? I take these bed tracks that have completely worked through. I know exactly, as the singer and the guitar player, I know how to arrange a song instantly.
Right.
Okay, that's what maybe a regular guitar player might not be able to do because they're not the singer.
Right. It makes all the difference.
So a lot of that stuff, I don't have to have consultations with my singer. I am the singer.
Right. And you had that in mind when you made the riff. So
that's right. I know exactly where everything goes. And it's just academic. I know where everything goes. And for me, it's no mystery. But I got to feel bad for the bass player and the drummer, because they're going, what the fuck is this? Sometimes I come in and they're completely like, oh, what? Yeah, these are the courses. Oh. And that's where the verses are. That's how this, and actually, after you explain it, then they see how the arrangement works, and everything is beautiful. It takes about 5-10 minutes, and it's usually done by discussion.
Awesome.
By discussion. That I play the whatever I've worked out, the whole bed track. I come in with the bed track, play it for them on the player, and then the discussion starts. What are we doing what is the approach? And it's actually quite fascinating, some of the transitions that occur after that too, right? Let's say I have a set way of doing it, and then the guys start in and play, and all of a sudden Rob drops out, and the bass drops out, and it's just me playing by myself. I'm going, oh, that's interesting. And then it's like a reentry. And I thought, in my writing, I thought it played right through, and it didn't. It was a reentry. And now, anyway, it worked out so, it's exquisite. You're going, oh, what? You know what I mean? Like, what somebody else's interpretation of what you just showed them, and how what they're going to apply to it changed the whole dynamic into something that was way more impressive, way more like it's just like, holy shit, now that sounds great. What a great idea, and we've never done that before. Things like that. Yeah, just
awesome. So I just want to ask, is there a tour coming up to support the new album?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or what's up? What's 2024 going to have for Anvil and for Anvil fans?
It starts out in July, and they're doing July and most of August in the U.S.
Awesome.
And then we're doing a bunch of regional stuff in September in Canada, and then in October, November, and the beginning of December, we are in Europe.
Yeah. Are you guys coming to the West Coast here in the US?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you coming to Portland, Oregon or Seattle or?
I believe so, yes.
Well, that would be great because I live in Vancouver, Washington, which is just across the Columbia River from Portland. I'm like five,
I'm pretty sure
10 minutes from Portland. So I'm hoping you guys come to Portland because I'd love to come down and cover the show for you as well. That'd be great.
I'd have to look at you know what? Hang on a second. I don't have it memorized. At
That's
least not.
okay. And I can look it up. I can look it up and check with your PR guy too, because I'm sure I'll get all the tour info from him. So
Yeah, it's gonna take me a second here.
yeah, no problem. I just want to say, in case we run out of time and this auto stops, do you have time for me to start it up again and jump back in?
Sure.
Okay.
Because
Because if you get cut off somehow by Zoom, I'll just reopen it.
yeah, we're playing Portland and Seattle.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to definitely put it on my list.
Portland is at the high water mark.
Okay.
And that is on 8th month, 14th day.
August 14th. Sounds great. That's not very far away. A couple months.
Yep. Pretty good, eh?
Excellent. Excellent. So cool. CDs on the way. The new album. Now, I assume this is streaming as well as downloads, as well as vinyl and CD.
I better be.
Are you guys releasing a cassette? Because a lot of bands are re-releasing cassettes.
Yeah, so I hear. I don't think so.
I don't get it, but because I was glad when we got away from cassettes. Because I don't know your age, but I mean, I graduated from high school in '78. So
yeah, it doesn't make sense because the whole thing about cassettes is that made the covers look so puny you could barely read the credits. It's like it sucked.
And the sound sucked.
Wow, the flutter, the fucking the dead spots, the endless fucking getting caught in your machine, all the fucking endless fucking garbage about fucking cassette. And we get CDs and we think that, oh my God, it just doesn't get better. And they're virtually indestructible. They last for fucking ever. They never lose their quality. You never get dead spots. All this great stuff. No, now we're going to make it all digital. And then the next thing you know, no one even has CD players anymore.
I still have one, and I still buy CDs because that's how I like to support bands that I like.
I'm going to go get a cassette player, and I want to go.
No.
Get Wow and Flutter and everything fucking else, man.
No, and I remember coming out of the studio, like you'd hear your 2-inch tape, right, with your master, and you're listening to it through studio monitors, and then you get your cassettes from the production run, right? And you listen to it and you go, what the fuck? This sounds like shit,
Yeah,
it's by comparison, right? You're just like, what happened,
It's compressing.
Well, and they EQ'd out half of the mix because it just didn't work in that tiny bit of tape.
No.
It has to be only young people that didn't experience the pain of cassettes.
You'd have to, the speed would have had to been triple.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If you want to talk about the fidelity, and then I don't know.
Yeah, no, how many times they got eaten by the deck, and then you're sitting there with a pencil trying to put it, wheel it back into the machine, the cartridge.
They got it to its optimum because if it went, it would get easier to get it tangled and not and fuck up at faster speeds. Obviously.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So I was going to ask you real quick, the 2008 movie Anvil, the story of Anvil, that's still running all over the place on all the streaming channels. In fact, a good friend of mine just ran across your movie last month and was like, all raving to me about how much he enjoyed the movie. You guys still get a lot of press from that, and how did that movie affect your guys' career at that time?
It gave us a career.
Yeah.
I guess you're not aware. Okay.
No, I am. I just wanted to hear what you have to say about it, because it seems like it was really a huge boost to get you guys back in action,
Well, we had been in action. Like, let's
right, but I mean, in the public eye.
No, but in the way that the world perceives it. Yeah,
that's what I meant.
They were just nobodies. They just recorded 12 albums and played hundreds of thousands of fucking gigs, and but they didn't exist. It's like they didn't exist. Well, we existed.
Of course you did, yeah.
A fan base that's unchanged for 45 years. So people can say what they will, but the band has always had a level of success.
Yeah.
But what happened was, and this is where the big difference, where all the sleeping giants, so to speak, became aware that the band is active and should be playing. And and because when we dropped off the radar, and so to speak, we dropped off business wise. So a lot of the people that help drive the visibility of the band, in other words, booking agents and stuff like that, they lose interest. Oh, right. It's not a major deal. You don't get in there's no money here. I'll book someone else, or the competition is stiff, or there's a million and one reasons that it's less than or not as good as it should be.
Right.
Well, what happened was, of course, the movie completely changed everything. Virtually millions of people saw that movie. That means that there's at least hundreds of thousands of people that want to see the band.
Yeah, and that are searching for you online, finding music, right?
That turned into, here we are 15 years later, still signed to record deals, still putting out records, and still endlessly 200 or more shows a year. Okay.
Awesome.
So what does that now we have a real career. And
absolutely.
It's not about, it never has been about money. Mm-hmm. It's been about the actual music itself, and has always been done for the purpose of the music itself, and not ever to sell out or ever to be commercialized.
Right.
You don't want that. It's metal. It's real. It's Anvil. Anvil represents real metal. It means real grit and gut. It means the shit that you can't make it go away.
If you like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.